So I've changed the angle of the video here a little bit, just because I'm going to be swinging a thing around. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and push some things back here. One of the weapons that I like to train with is Nunchaku, however you want to be nerdy and say it. And I like them because I'm a nerd. I like them because they're cool and they're flashy, and they, yeah, it's what Bruce Lee used. Like it's a cool thing. Like it's one of those weapons where, like, you know, if you were into martial arts in like the 90s or 80s, it's 70s, like that's gonna be like, it's gonna be like the thing, right? You know, so like I do recognize that that's why I'm into them. They're not necessarily a super practical weapon, except when they are. I'm gonna get to that in a second. So what I will say about it is that nunchucks are basically a little flailing weapon. Now, if you think about that, we interact with a lot of things on a daily basis that kind of have that flailing property to them. Whether or not you have keys with a handle on them, you've got this little flail. Getting good at nunchucks is going to get you good at using that. And kind of, and once in a while, even if you don't have keys on that, once in a while you'll just find yourself carrying something. And the reason that I wanted to do this video is because I was walking into the building with these. And this is a, I don't know, maybe a 2 pound bag of carrots, maybe 3. But it, you know, it's got a little weight to it. But the thing is, this is a flail too, and it's got some weight to it. I don't know if I would count on this to like deliver a killing blow on an opponent. I don't know if this would be necessarily a finishing move. But having this in my hand and having the skill to use this thing without hitting myself in the head with it or hitting myself in the groin or the knee, I think that probably if I needed to, you know, on my way into the building, which honestly is a very popular place to end up attacked, especially if you are a woman. If you are going up the stairwell and there's some creep there waiting for just somebody like you, or you're in the elevator and there's some creep waiting there just for somebody like you, and you've got this bag of carrots, bam. You've got something that you can take to the side of their head and, you know, really do something that's going to make them see stars for a moment while you do something else, while you do something worse. So, you know, I just thought about this, and, you know, as I was walking into the building, I was kind of, you know, mindlessly sort of, you know, doing some of this stuff with it, and I was just thinking about it, and I was like, wow, this really would suck to get hit with. This really would. You know, and I've got, you know, once in a while I'll be walking home from the 7-Eleven up the street with, you know, a little shopping bag that'll have some like, you know, energy drinks or something like that in it. And if you think about getting hit in the head with like an aluminum can full of liquid, bam, you know, just, it's really going to mess you up. It's a really good thing to hit with. So, yeah, as far as the nunchucks is like not a practical weapon, while I would agree that, you know, taking your actual nunchucks out with you is probably not the best thing to do in a lot of states and in a lot of cities. They're illegal. This Seattle happening to be one of those cities where they're very illegal. There are things that are nunchuck-like that you can use and stuff that you'll oftentimes have. So, you know, instead of thinking about that bag of stuff that you're carrying back from the store as a hindrance when you're, you know, if you happen to encounter a situation where, like, maybe you think, oh man, I want my hands out. Maybe you want this. Maybe you want this. Something else I'll say too on this topic is if you're dealing with somebody with like a knife, knives are really one of those things that, like, you know, martial artists, like, we spend a lot of time talking about them because they're fucking terrifying, honestly. Like, people really don't oftentimes, unless they've really sat down and thought about it, understand how fucking horrifying knives are, because, like, you know, everybody kind of thinks of that little stabbing motion. Well, yeah, that would suck to get stabbed, but somebody may also come at you like this. And if you're somebody who fights with your hands, something that you got to realize is that, like, if this meat of your arm gets cut, this isn't working anymore. Those are muscles and sinew that get cut, and those are the things that operate your hands. So one of the better ways to deal with somebody who's got a knife, if you're having to deal with somebody who has a knife, and I personally would recommend really thinking about whether or not you needed to engage that person. Engaging them at range with a weapon, something that's out in front of you that you can cover with, is probably a better way to do that. And so, like, if you got that bag, you know, if you got that bag of bottles or whatever, you got, you know, something like this, that's definitely going to be something that you can use to your advantage in terms of range and keeping yourself out of the, you know, out of the striking zone or cutting zone of that knife. You're probably still going to get cut. Everyone should always know that if you're going up against a knife, is you're going to get cut. But maybe you won't, like, lose your arm. You know, maybe you'll be able to put that guy on the ground and, like, you know, disable his arm that is, you know, using that weapon, get that weapon away from him, and do something to him to make him not attack you anymore. So, you know, learning how to use these weapons is not pointless. There are instances in which you may really want that skill, and there are instances in which something that you may have thought of as something that was just kind of flashy, you know, acrobatic martial art shit that, you know, is stuff from the movies, turns out to be something that you can use in day-to-day stuff, like nunchucks, like flails. So, you know, yeah, maybe think about that with your keys. Maybe think about that with this. Maybe think about that with that bag that you're carrying back from 7-Eleven. You know, kind of keep an eye out for stuff like that, because all you really need is a flexible little string type thing with a weight on it. And there you go.